so long. We no listen to some old time reggae song. Play the music again. As a reggae make we unite again. Who know I hear? You were in my shoes. You would see some me not choose music and me music choose. Impossible for me refuse. Can't make no excuse. And if I the good vibe you want, bring the real thing come. Reggae music live and can't done, so make it play for the rest of my days. Boy, it's been a long time. We know how to vibe like this. Reggae music again. Reggae music again. Oh, it's been so long. We don't listen to some old time reggae song. Play the music again. Yeah, I make we unite again. I remember when, way back then, positivity was the message we sent. No man not pretend, from the root to the stem. It used to be Jamaica, no problem. Money I spend, borrow or lend, and them kind of love that we need to extend. Remember when the skirt them are up on the pants them? Aye, it's been a long. Come again, my love I am. I say positive vibrations in the air. How do you feel, my brother? How do you feel, my sister? I say 1, 2, Rasta is passing through. Hey, I keep it cool, yeah. Real reggae music, I always say. I say 1, 2, Rasta is passing through. Hey, I keep it cool, yeah. Real reggae music. I have a duty, just to create good music, so it can reach the world across the 7 seas. Oh, it's the healing. No one can find this feeling here. Now the world should know. Yes, the world should know. I say 1, 2, Rasta is passing through. Hey, I keep it cool, yeah. Real reggae music, I always say. I say 1, 2, Rasta is passing through. Hey, I keep it cool, yeah. Real reggae music. I miss a word, wine. People are shout out dope wines. Music it gets us so high. Only sweet reggae music can let me hear the drum roll and let me hear the bass line. Girls, I'm a wind up the bassline, yeah. Only sweet reggae music can. Rest and retreating, yeah. 'Cause I love how you do it, yeah. Ooh, Lord, yeah. Only sweet reggae music can set the captives free from the evil on the streets. You feel the beat, so you must believe in the kings of kings, lords of lords, conquering lion and the roots of all, yeah. Whoa, 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 whoa. I always say, let's go. I say 1, 2, just like it's falling through. I keep it cool. Real reggae music.
Young man, you're too girly. You just a flash with Johnny Whirly. Young man, you're too girly. You just a flash with Johnny Whirly. Him have one up here, one down there, one in a Nova, one down a there. One she's a lawyer, one she's a doctor, one where they work with a little contract.
1, 2, 3, you hearing me?
One down a west, him have one up north and 2 down south. One a sell cigarette on the runabout, God. Hey, young man, you too girly. You just a flash with Johnny Whirly. Young man, you too girly. You just a flash with Johnny Whirly. Him have wanna go to school, one go on food. Him have one every time you say she think a she rude. One she a nurse, she say a she come first. The other night them going out, them pick a new purse. One a sell star, one work in a bar. A just a flash it on the world, young man, you too girly, girly. You just a flash it on the world, you too girly, girly. You just a flash it on the world, young man, you too girly, girly. You just a flash it on the world,
Making your speakers tremble like an earthquake. It's DJ Franco. Yeah. Follow on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at DJ Franco.
young man, you too girly, girly. You just a flash it on the world, young man, you too girly, girly. You just a flash it on the world, him have one up here, one down here, one down over, one down up here, one to the lawyer, one to the doctor, one to the work for the contractor, one down the east, one down the west, one up on north and two down the south, one to go to school and one food too. You too girly, girly.
Ladies and gentlemen, we ask for your patience and for not all the music I imagine. We're asking for your patience for a little longer. They're trying to sort out some internet issues for those. I know they're trying to stream for those of us who are not here. I'm afraid I have to ask you to stand so we can pray. Oh, gracious Creator, we give you thanks for this event that brings us together. And we give you thanks for a wonderful universe with so many blessings. As we celebrate all who are involved in this collaborative project, a project that has improved our knowledge of the island's flora, we give you thanks for the plants that we use as food, medicine, and so much more. We pray for the continuation of such collaborative efforts as we strive to better understand our history and culture, along with the wonders of this world, which is our home. We pray for an evening that will leave us enlightened and full of gratitude. Thank you, too, for bringing us safely to this venue, and we thank you for our safe return home. Amen. And I now call on, don't sit yet, I call on Mrs. Mildred Chalmers to do the territorial song.
Proud motherland, your children raise your standards high in toil and tears to serve you well. The emerald jewel from God's hand, oh Montserrat, by nature blessed, to you your children sing. Come one or one, come friend or foe, to you your people cling. Rise up and make a country great, with art and skill and sacrifice, with mass and drums we celebrate, triumphant masters of our faith. Oh Montserrat, by nature blessed, to you your children sing. Come one or one, come friend of all, to you your people
Thank you, Mildred. You may now sit. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be able to welcome you here this afternoon. And I shall start by trying to establish the protocol for the rest of the evening. So nobody needs to come up and say, you know, this is the protocol yet. again. Your Excellency, Sarah Tucker and Mr. Tucker, the Honorable Charles Kernan, usually Minister of Education, Health, etc., but acting as Premier this evening. The Honorable Parliamentary Secretary, Dorset Hector, Kay. Sorry, she's Kay to me. The Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Cranston Buffon. Let me go back to my list because I noted several other persons who came in. We have members of the opposition. I recognize the Honorable Claude Hogan. We have education officers. I recognize Mary Blake. The Director of Tourism, Rosetta, I saw you at some point. Members of the clergy, Reverend Ruth, Alan, I recognize you. Other distinguished guests in the audience include my aunt, Mrs. Ellen Lindsay, Janie for me. Other members of the House? Council, who am I missing? No, I'm coming to the trust. I'm dealing with the informants, the seniors in our presence. Mrs. Silcott is here? Good. Welcome. Members and staff of the Montserrat National Trust, visiting partners, young people who are involved in the project, you're very important this afternoon. Ladies, gentlemen, friends, and I see a lot of my friends. In fact, some friends who I haven't seen for a while, so I'm looking forward to getting down from up here, getting into the audience. Now, I'm involved in a small way in this project, and for that I'm really delighted, because there's an African proverb which equates the passing of an elder to the burning of a library. And this project, which has ensured that our youth are equipped with the skills to document our traditional knowledge that our seniors were happy to share, is an important step. Through this project, older persons in our community, some of them already in institutions, because our young people were able to visit the homes and speak with informants at the Golden Years home, etc. And they were given an opportunity to share their stories, to share their knowledge. This knowledge has now been captured for posterity in the books to be launched this evening. So I'm excited about this project. And in fact, I would like to congratulate the Executive Director of the Montserrat National Trust, Mrs. Sarita Francis, her team and partners for this brilliant initiative. And that's as far as my remarks will go. And I now call on the Honorable Charles Kernan to give remarks. We only have like 3 minutes.
Well, telling a politician 3 minutes is ludicrous, to say the least. Good afternoon. I'm sure there are others, and we heard about the elders, Eleanor, Silcott, and Janie, might have been more versed in speaking to these herbs, but I've been around a while myself. So I'm not, though I was not approached, I noticed, as part of the elderly when they were doing this thing. I don't know why. Anyway, today, we are gathered here to launch the herbal medicine booklet, featuring some 15 herbs that have been used for healing. Herbs have been used from the very ancient times to heal, and as the Bible quite rightly puts it, herbs for the healing purposes. Ezekiel 47:12 says, "Fruit trees of all kinds will grow on both banks of the river. Their leaves will not wither, nor will their fruit fail. Every month they will bear fruit, because the water from the sanctuary flows to them. The fruit will serve for food and their leaves for healing. So we have a good basis on which to start, since this is our Christian society. I wish to emphasize that God in his infinite wisdom didn't make drugs. He made plants and weeds, and man made drugs. And for the life of me, it still baffles me why some plants are considered drugs. And we know what we're talking about here. And they're not man-made. Anyway, we here in Montserrat are blessed with many healing herbs by whatever names they're called. However, in this age of instant this and instant that, and the age of modernization, we find it more convenient to head to the shops, the stores, the drugstores, to find the same tibush, maybe in a capsule, or some of the form and the weeds that are right in our yards. We can find cat claw, and for those cat claw, they use it for colds and coughs and different things over the years. It still grows wild here. And now I note that it's in a capsule in your drugstores. And it was also used for the cooling of the blood. The neem, which wasn't indigenous to man, it was brought here some years ago. It is now you have neem oil, so you can go to the store and buy it. You can get neem capsules, and it's been used for the lowering of blood sugar and blood pressure. All these things are there, but it is right on the roads and in our yards or our backyards. Ram goat bush. One of the leaves that's captured in this book, ram goat bush. And that one has been used in some countries as a seasoning. I think in Trinidad they use it prevalent in Puerto, the shadow benny. And they use it very well for that. Here, we use it for teas. And of course, for those who would imbibe good bush rum, you know that ram goat bush would be in it. And it has other aphrodisiac qualities, I understand. You can also find that one in your drugstore as horny goat weed in capsule form. Now then there's bat root, or what the Jamaican call guinea hen weed. And this has been used for years, and you know it has a very potent smell. And if you were back in the day when we used to have fresh milk, you could always tell when the cow was feeding on bat root because the milk smells like bat root. And therefore you couldn't use it after that. But I remember growing up that the root of that bat root, when you pound it, for those people who had a bad cold or even catarrh, you would pound it and they give you to sniff and everything come running down. So we have it all there. You have to get the inhalers from the supermarket. You get some bat root, you pound them and you sniff, and it will help pull down whatever is in you. During the COVID things, people have reverted a lot to the herbs. Thankful for. In more recent times, and especially from under the guinea hen way from the Jamaican, it has been used for and helps with cancer like the prostate and cancer to reduce it in the body. So you men who are around, bat root is good, leaves and root all. And you could also soak it in the rum, make a good bush rum with it in case that's the one you want to do. Soursop bush. And the fruit has become popular. We grew up using it and eating it, not knowing all the value of it, I'm sure. But now everybody, you can't. Well, I have a tree and I hardly could get one on it because it's near to the road and everybody claims them. But bush we used to give children for tea so that to put them to sleep. There's some traces of other things in them that make you sleep. But it's God made it, so it's not a drug. It's a seed. Now, vein, what the older folks would have known our wine. And it was some time before I realized that's what it is. And I saw the picture of it. what I grew up being called wine is vervain. And they use it for back then. And I know during COVID, many would now have acclaimed it to be one of the relief for the COVID. So I noticed a lot of people drinking it during COVID time. Then you have nettle. You know that one that stings? It does have a purpose. I recall vividly as a child, I had an uncle that lived in Carsby. And he would always say to get the standing nettle. Never figure why on the heavens anybody want nettle. But later in life, you know what it was used for then? What is now prostate cancer? Stoppage of water, we call it then. And that's what it was used for. And that too, you can find capsules in the supermarket. But it's in our backyards. Our ancestors used herbs, baths as well. They have all kinds of use. Baths, you know, you had to put seven of these bushes, you had to boil them for your, put it in your bath pan, and you used to put the children in it, and you could go and sap your skin in it, in your bath pan, because we don't have a bathtub. So it's a pan. You had the same bat root, bamboo, bush, 12 o'clock, rain fall, and another set. You know, and people after a while start looking down at those things. But now if you go to the spa, you know, the spa, you can get all that heat and whatever herbs they have in the water. But we all grew up, older ones of us grew up with spa. The days when we used to wash in the river. You know, things were not always like the standpipes or around the village, but then a lot of us would have to go to the river. And I know I think there's still a tree in Soldier Gut as we pass the bridge, one soapy bush tree. That was your soap. You would grind, rub up the leaf until it lathers to wash your clothes. So herbs have been used by us here in this country for all sorts of things. Now the book presents us with 15 herbs and leaves. Sinti Bible. Single Bible, somebody call it. Aloes, aloe vera. And along with what else is written in the book. And I'm going to tell you what's written in the book because I need it. I'm going to only... But the older folks used to scrape the Sinti Bible out and blend it with white of egg as a tonic. And it worked well. So some of them you see around here, like then I get old. Trust me, that's what it does do. This root is also in the book, and I know it has certain, but one of the properties that is forgot, it was the basic part of it. And again, every bushworm you find, if it doesn't have in Davis root, something not quite right to it. It could do many things. It could even raise the dead if it comes to that. Nonetheless. Then you have palm coolie, and that's used to clear your blood. Some people use it to give them appetite. But one has got to be careful with palm coolie, because it doesn't really move the sugar from your blood. It hides it. And many a person have ended up in a coma because they use it every time they go in doctor, because I think the old folks knew. And they would use it, and when they go on test, no sugar. But then the sugar is very high. So be careful when you use some of these things. So like in the store, they come with all kinds of prescription. The leaves in the backyard don't come with prescriptions. So we have to read on a lot of these. And these days, whoever this fella named Google is, we could find a lot of things by Google. Then the leaf of life, I think that is also the book. Up to Saturday, I'm coming from Rendezvous, and from my aunt that lived in Rendezvous. One of the things she would chew on to give her energy to move over the hill. So I did just that coming up to get me over the hill. One of the other things about the leaf of life, for those who are old enough, you know, when you go in school and you have somebody that you liked, you know, your girlfriend, and you want to know if they love you. You wrote their name and yours on the leaf, and you put it somewhere. And if it grew, you know you're in love. If you not grow, crap, smoke pipe and dog eat your supper. So, my good people, we have a wealth of herbs, leaves, and fruits for the healing. So let's start using them. Everything else, you can find them, as I said earlier, somewhere on Google. And I have some in the book, which you will buy to find out what's in it. Herbs and weeds have been and will continue to be a very rich part of our heritage. So when we talk about our culture and our heritage, those things we need to hold on to. And in closing, there's a quote I want to read to you by Dara Bryan. He said, herbal medicine's been around for thousands of years. Indeed it has. And then we tested it all. The stuff that worked became medicine. And the rest of it is just a nice bowl of soup and some potpourri. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Kernan. In fact, you've highlighted the fact that we need to get into the manufacturing side of things. And in fact, I'm pleased that we have with us the vendors who have taken things a bit further in products. In fact, Mildred, who sang the territorial song, she has been making products. I old press cook. It's my pleasure to invite Jody Payton, ecologist, to give us some background on the project. Jody, welcome. Welcome to Montserrat. I haven't met yet.
Hi. So just what a start to a beautiful event. It's such a pleasure to meet you all. As Ms. Cassell said, my name is Jody, and I'm from the UK Centre for Ecology and Hydrology in the UK, and I've been so privileged and proud to be working with this fantastic team here in Montserrat, the wider team in Cayman, in Belgium, and in the UK. On this fantastic project looking at the impacts of colonialism on the environment. It's a UK research and innovation project funded by the Arts and Humanities Research Council and the National Environment Research Council, and it's fantastic because we've been able to work with just such a fantastic team here in Montserrat. So we had two case studies, one on Montserrat and one on Cayman, and we'll be hearing from a lovely cook in Italy. So I just wanted to just say about what the team have been doing here. The team in Montserrat, led by Mrs. Francis, have been doing a fantastic job in their work package, and the young people like Jade and her colleagues, her young cadets at the National Trust, have been doing a wonderful job collating oral histories from the elders of the island, collating this information into these beautiful booklets that we are presenting here tonight. And I just wanted to say it's a pleasure to be with you all and to thank you, Mrs. Francis, and your inspiring team for leading such a fantastic and important piece of work. I can see being here and hearing these beautiful stories, it's a truly important and inspirational project. So thank you for inviting me to speak. Thank you.
It's good to see your face in person. Now, Jodia's time, she's the lead. She was the lead interviewer, and I imagine she'll continue to do more interviews later on. I'd like to invite her to share her experience. Jodia? I'm really proud of her.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jodie Estai. I'm the museum assistant here at the Montserrat National Museum. My role in the Hidden Histories project was to choose the 15 plants and conduct the interviews, as Ms. Gracelyn Castle was saying. Each plant is chosen for its medicinal properties specifically in certain areas. So we have the leaf, we have the bark, we have roots, vines, fruits. And that is displayed in, let me list them for you. The plant 15 were milk thistle, aloe, trumpet bush, periwinkle, Davis root, punculi, prickly pear cactus, blue vervain again, you got most of them, Leaf of Life, Stinging Nettle, the standing one, because we have two. We have the nettle and we have the running nettle. Glory Cedar, Ramgoat Bush, Lord Lavington, and of course, Cattle Tongue, yes. Training was given by Miss Sarah Lowry from the Oral History Society in the UK on how to use the oral history equipment, such as recorders, different kind of mics, proper ways to maintain confidentiality when doing the interviews and recording them, field guidelines, as well as how to correctly begin and record interviews by stating names, dates, and anything else that might be significant. The approach was also available to interviewees as comfortable as possible, and taking note of their nonverbal gestures also played a role. With the assistance of Alicia Allison and Antoine Sinclair, and a few other cadets such as Tashawn Greensward and Shamal Peters, I conducted the interviews. One being a group of 3 who were residents of the Golden Years home. Of the 15 plants, each was considered useful by itself, but there were other bushes added for either potency or to treat another form of illness. And boiling, we found, was not for every bush. Some were better suited to steeping. We learned this among so much more. Knowledge of among our interviewees was predominantly passed down through parents or observation. I am grateful to have led these interviews. This has allowed me to expand on my indigenous background and explore my love for learning about how amazing plants can truly be. It was great being in the company of the interviewees, speaking to them and listening to the knowledge of these plants. Thank you to the interviewees for being willing to share from their experiences, to Miss Sarah Lowry for training us, Miss Cheryl White for allowing us to speak to her residents, and for all the assistance and support from the UK and MNT team, as well as the cadets. Thank you.
Thank you, Jodias. In fact, the involvement of the seniors at the home is a suggestion that they can have gardens at the homes. Now, we're on to the book reveal. And I'd like to call on Mrs. Sarita Francis, the Executive Director of the Trust, to tell us about the book, the books.
Good afternoon, all. We'd like to acknowledge the presence of the Montserrat National Trust Council members. There are a few around: Dorothea, Claude, and Beth. I saw Beth somewhere earlier. And Beth is in front of me here. No, Jean is not a member of the council. Thank you. All right, so books. As Julia said, we chose the local committee along with the UK committee. We spoke and we chose a number of plans, 15 to be, we had more than 15, we had over 30, but we had, because of the budget, we had to narrow it down to 15, and you will see those. We decided that we will have 2 books, one for adults and one for children, which is a coloring activity book for the children. So we got 2 books to share with you this afternoon. We, because of the funding, we are not allowed to sell the books, but we are asking that you give a donation on behalf of the Children's Echo Play Park. So there's a donation box on the counter. So those of you who brought your money to purchase, don't go back with it. Just drop it in the Echo Play Park. The Echo Play Park and project is one in which we are trying to find a home for children who love the environment, and we're trying to bring them together to teach them things, the medicinal plants. So contribute, we are fundraising. We hope to break ground very soon. So every little bit helps to get to our goal. So bring your money into the box before you leave. Thank you so much. I'll now invite the Honorable Crenson Bufang to say a few words of greeting, and then we will do the unveiling of the book. You don't have to.
That's fine. Right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for tossing me in the deep end. But that's fine. I'm very much happy for what's happening here today. The fact that we can put our histories and the way they came about into something like a book for generations to come is key for me. The fact that we've used our young people is also a great feeling. They're part of it, and they were the ones responsible for collecting our information. So once again, congratulations to the Trust, the MACE, I think, all these people who made this possible for us. Thank you all very much. We really appreciate it. We move straight along to the book.
So, Honorable Minister, could you please unveil the book by just lifting up so everybody can see the two copies? All right, so we have the adult booklet and we have the children's booklet. Okay. And so thank you, Honorable Minister. And you don't leave just yet. Don't leave just yet. We have lots of work for you to do.
That's fine.
We are going to be making donations to a few people who were involved in the exercise. And I gave Her Excellency her preview and Honorable Minister theirs for preview, so I will not call them, but I just want you to know that I didn't leave them out. Honorable Minister, your copy. Thank you very much. That's your copy. So I'll keep your copy right here, and I'll call the other. Oh, this is his copy. Yes.
Okay, so you can hold on to this.
Okay. That's your copy. And next we have the Honorable Minister Acting of MCWLE.
Are you giving them from this side?
You get from this side, yes. If you stand up down here.
Okay, come this side.
Yeah. And next, we have the interviewees, Mrs. Ellen Lindsay, Miss Eleanor Silcott, and Miss Vern Wolcock is not here. Mr. Daniel James. And Mr. Daniel James, yes. And we have for Mr. John Cannon and Miss Vivian Thomas. Okay, and these were the people who were interviewed. I want to call Cheryl White on behalf of year's residents. Cheryl for the corporation and for allowing us to come in home to interview some of those. Interviewees, we have Jody S. Ty, we have Alicia Allison, Antoine Sinclair, Anya Jeffers. I think these are, Jody S., if you come and take the, just for, on behalf of everybody who are interviewing. And Anya is there, Anya, Jody, Allison, Alicia Allison, kitchen, and some other young people who also were involved. Shamal Peters, Tishon Greenswood, and yes, I think, and Shamal Peters, right? Okay. For the members of the Executive Council, Claude, could you please come and take this on behalf? I apologize for the absence of the President, Mrs. James. So, Claude. Public Library, I'm not sure if Sonia Smith is here. I'd like to call Jean Hanscom. Jean was very instrumental in assisting us with the editing of the book. After the young people gathered the information, we had to put it together. So Jean and Grace were the two important persons helping us to edit. We'd like to call the UK committee for their copies. The UK committee, we have with us Jody Payton and Rebecca Machen. And also in the committee was Catherine Wensink, she left Ireland today, Quentin, Alan Gray, Rebecca, Simon Norman, and Sophie Muse. So thank you so much. The staff committee, I would ask Grace to come and accept the behalf of the staff and the local committee. Okay. I think that is it. Everybody here should be able to get a copy of the book. You can take a copy. So I have to give you yours, right? Okay. Montserrat National Trust. I'd like to thank the chair for so ably conducting this evening's proceedings. Thank you to Honorable Minister Kernan for your remarks and taking us down memory lane, especially going to bathe in the river. Remember that very clearly. Mildred Chalmers, thank you for your excellent rendition of the national song. Jody, thank you for your remarks, and thank you to all of the UK team for supporting us. We thank the National Environment Research Council of the UK, United Kingdom Arts and Humanities Research Council, as well as the UK Overseas Territories Conservation Forum, Ministry of Agriculture, Lands, Housing and Environment. And we also like to thank Dr. Barnes, who had done a similar project earlier, the staff of the Montserrat National Trust, gardeners, nursery, admin staff. I want to mention in particular Vernier Bass, who stepped up to manage the museum and who has been working tremendously hard to get this program on the road. So we want to thank her especially. Thank all the interviewees and the interviewers, especially those young people. I'm really heartened by their involvement and their enthusiasm. And we want to thank also the exhibitors who come out to their craft, all the persons who work in the background, transporting the technicians, Radio Montserrat, Calvin. This lovely podium I done locally. It's not quite finished, but it's done by a young man. I don't know his name. Pond. So this is Kirtley Pond's local wood, local craftsmanship. So he's going to finish it off, but we had to use it today, and also to some support in advertising his work. So thank you, everybody, to all of you who've come out, who've turned out. All of you who are going to be contributing, don't pass the box, please. Children of Montserrat. Right, so I've been told by my able assistant, Delmore Ryan, there is a second part of the program, which is going to be in the small meeting room. That part of the program, you're going to be hearing from a young lady called Bush Girl. She came in. She is an enthusiast about herbal medicine. So she's going to talk about what they do in Cayman using the same 15 medicines. And so she's going to be talking via Zoom in the medicine, in the room. We're also going to be talking to Sister T. She's a young woman from North Carolina. Her mother is from Montserrat, and I think her father is from Jamaica. And she's into the business of producing teas using herbal blends. So she learned that from her parents, and she's used that as a business and buy her teas online. So she's talking to us via Zoom. And we're also going to have Miss Janie and Miss Eleanor in the room also to have a conversation and to answer questions. And Mapai is somewhere around. Mapai will be also in there. So please go to the second half of the program. That's going to be in the meeting room, and you'll be able to have some discussions and have your questions answered by two of our interviewers, two of our editors, and lady from Cayman, Hannah Reed Ford, and Mrs. Shanti Owens from Sister Teas in the United States. So thank you very much, everybody, for coming. And please we're going to be serving light refreshments, and after that we can go straight into the meeting room for the other part of the program. We want to thank our newest volunteer on our Monty Messengers, Iceman, and Iceman consented to give us a little bit of entertainment. So now, please mingle, please ask questions, especially for those persons who are displaying their medicinal craft. You can mingle around, you can purchase something, and while Iceman is doing that, we have on the saltfish cake made with saltfish balls made with rambutan bush or shadow benny as the Trinidadians will call it. We have tea, and we have sugar cake with aniseed. I don't know if anybody remembers eating sugar cake with nothing else but coconut. Listen, I asked you to make some for me, but you keep dodging me. I was going to give you the ingredients. I have aniseed. I was going to bring all the ingredients. I don't know what else he was going to put in there, but what is in ours? we have coconut, sugar, and aniseed in the sugar cake. We have aniseed, that's herbal. So that we put a full stop there, right? Okay. So I think and I think we have some tamarind dips and so on. So we have bush rum punch, and we have other rum punch. We have bush rum punch. We have bush rum on display, but not for drinking. We watered it down in the rum punch. All right? So please feel free to mingle, look at the, drink responsibly. You're only getting a taste, you're not getting a whole gulp. You're just getting a taste. Thank you so much for listening.
Maybe open to
Give me soup now one calabash. Soup now one calabash. Give me soup now one calabash. Want me soup now no bowl. Give me soup now one calabash. Give me soup now one calabash. Give me soup now one calabash. No want me soup now no bowl. Give me mama, give me. Give me mama, give me. Give me soup now one calabash. Mommy no want me soup now no bowl. 10 years in America, he can't forget me culture. Remember the words of the grandmama when he want to rock the cradle. Give me soup now one calabash. Give me soup now one calabash. Give me soup now one calabash. Mama want me soup now no bowl. Give me mama, give me. Give me mama, give me. Give me soup now one calabash. Mommy no want me soup now no bowl. Give me soup now one calabash. Give me soup one calabash. Give me soup now one calabash. Mommy no want me soup now no bowl. Give me mama, give me. Give me mama, give me. Give me soup now one calabash. Mommy no want me soup now no bowl. 10 years in America, I can't forget me culture. Remember the words of my grandmama when he want to rock the cradle. Give me soup now one calabash. Give me soup calabash. Give me soup now one calabash. Mama no want me soup now no bowl. Give me mama, give me. Give me mama, give me. Give me soup now one calabash. Mama no want me soup now no bowl. Fire, 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 fire. Fire up a mountain and no water they fall out. Fire, 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 fire. Fire up a mountain and no water they fall out. Scientists say run fast. Scientists say run fast. Scientists say run fast. Fire up a mountain. Fire, 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 fire. Fire up a mountain and no water they fall out. Scientists say run fast. Scientists say run fast. Scientists say run fast. Fire up a mountain. Fire, 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 fire. Fire up a mountain and no volcano fire. Scientists say run fast. Scientists they run fast, scientists they run fast. Fire up a mountain, Fire, 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 fire up a mountain, no volcano fire. Yellow bird up in the mango tree. Yellow bird. Yellow bird, high up in banana tree. Yellow bird. Yellow bird, high up in banana tree. Yellow bird, high up in banana tree. This is my island in the sun. Oh. Oh, island in the sun, given to me by my father's hand. All the time I will sing and waters shining way. Oh, island in the sun, built to me by my father's hand. Brown skin girl, go home and mind baby. Brown skin girl, go home and mind baby. I'm going away on a sailing boat, and if I don't come back, show it. Brown skin girl, go home and mind baby. Brown skin go home and mind baby. I'm going away on a sailing boat, and if I don't come back, go it. Brown skin girl, go home and mind baby. Brown skin girl, go home and mind baby. I'm going away on a sailing boat, and if I don't come back, show it. Morning kaka koko koko kuyoko. Morning kaka koko kuyoko kuyoko. Wake the girl, sleeping in the morning. Wake up, girl, sleeping in the night. Wake up, girl, sleeping in the morning. Morning kaka koko. Morning kaka koko kuyoko kuyoko. Morning kaka koko kuyoko kuyoko. Wake up, girl, now sleep in the morning. Wake up, girl, now sleep in the night. Wake up, girl, now sleep in the morning. Morning, morning, kakaku, kokuyoko. Morning, kakaku, kokuyoko. Wake up, girl, now sleep in the morning. Wake up, girl, now sleep in the night. Wake up, girl, sleep in the morning. Morning, kakaku. Old man like body tama, why you do it, young girl? Old man like body tama, why you do it, young girl? Old man like body tama, why you do it, young girl? Old man like body tama, why you do it, young girl? Old man like body tama, why you do it, young girl? Old man like body tama, why you do it, young girl? Old man like body tama, why you do it, young girl? Old man like body tama, why you do it, young girl? Old man like body tama, why you do it, young girl? Old man like body tama, why you do it, young girl? Old man like body tama, why you do it, young girl?
I can't hear anything.
Bam chica lele chica foot maya. His mother send me down a river for water. He tell me let me not trouble nobody. Damn nigga man come feel up me lala. How we be a chica foot maya? How we be a chica foot maya? Bam chica le, bam chica le, bam chica le. Bam chicale feel up me la. Bam chicale le chica put maya. Me mother send me down a river for water. He tell me let me not trouble nobody. Damn nigga man come feel up me la la. How we chica put maya? How we be a chica put maya? Damn nigga man. Damn nigga man. Damn nigga man. Damn nigga man come feel up me lala. I we be a chica food maya.
Okay, Shante, are you able to hear?
Yes, I can hear.
Okay, fantastic. We're going to be going live in just being a part of our launch of the 15 popular medicinal plants on Montserrat. You are very much aware of this project, and we thank you for sharing with us this evening. My name is Delmaud Ryan. I am the Admin Finance Manager of the Montserrat National Trust, but also assist on various projects for the Montserrat National Trust, including this project, the Hidden Histories Project. This evening, we have two guests with us. You've heard a little bit about them in the first part of the event, and I am pleased to introduce to you Ms. Hannah Reed Ford, who is a communications specialist in the Ministry of Sustainability and Climate Resiliency in the Cayman Islands. She is a multi-generational Caymanian. Hannah has taken interest in traditional environmental knowledge, particularly of local medicinal plants. And she calls herself Bush Girl Medicine. You can find a lot about her from the hamlet that is on the pamphlet that's on your chair, and you can follow more about what she does in the area of medicinal plant. This evening, she is going to share with us the same 15 plants that we have researched here in Montserrat and how these medicinal plants are used in the Cayman Islands. I am now going to hand over the platform to Hannah. Good evening, Hannah. You can go right ahead.
Thank you so much. I want to first congratulate the Montserrat National Trust on this successful project, and also to say that I have been so incredibly impressed by the Montserrat National Trust. I started following you on Instagram and Facebook, and just the amount of community events and engagement that your team does is incredible. So I really hope that, you know, everybody in the room will continue to support your National Trust, because they're really doing an incredible job. You've already heard a little bit about me, so I'll skip over that and just give you a brief overview of Cayman. So we are made up of 3 islands, the biggest Grand Cayman, Cayman Brac, and our smallest Little Cayman. And we didn't have any permanent settlement prior to the early 1700s. And then we began to get built up our population, a diverse mix of slaves, sailors, soldiers, planters, and privateers. And that sort of way of life continued for many, many years, people reliant very much on what the sea and the land could provide to them. And it wasn't until the sort of 1970s that we started to get this uptick in socioeconomic development. And if you can imagine that, these 2 photos are actually of the same place in Cayman, just what it looked like in the, I believe it's the 1930s versus today. So there's been a lot of change in a very short period of time. And in those days, before that uptick in economic development, everything was bush, bush, bush. This plant here is called washwood, and it was used for washing clothes. So the 15 medicinal plants of Montserrat, I took a look through the booklet, which is an incredible resource. And there are actually 5 plants, the ones at the bottom with the white background, that we don't have in Cayman. I've been told we have the lion plant locally, but or Lord Lavington, I think it's called,
yes.
But I have never seen it in Cayman, so I'm not gonna touch base on that one. But the 10 plants that I have photos of, those are the ones that we have in Cayman and that I'm gonna talk a little bit about today. And this was a really interesting project because in some ways the plants align, either in common names or uses, and in some ways they're completely different. So this pungkuli, which that you call it, we call here in Cayman Sarasi, spelled with a C or sometimes with an S. And It is one of our more well-known medicinal plants as well. So used to treat a variety of ailments, everything from colds and fevers to a tea for labor or menstrual pains with other plants, and even to clear up the skin. It said from heat rash, but it has been used, it gets used in soap and other things because it is considered good for the skin and used to promote good appetite as well. This one is an interesting one, I think, because this plant that you call cattle tongue, we call cure for all. And it's, we actually have two, I'm not entirely certain if we actually call it cure for all or if that's an imported name, because we have two species of Pluchia carolinensis and Pluchia odorata in the Cayman Islands, but we don't have any recorded history of use. So that's a plant that I think is, you know, for me, interesting to look into, because all around the Caribbean, it has use. So why it doesn't have use in Cayman, I'm not sure. This cochineal or prickly pear, which again, here the name is similar, prickly pear, but we also have a name for it, tuna. I don't know where that comes from at all. And we have a similar use as to Montserrat here as being used for shampoo and conditioner, but also for treating headaches. You split the leaf part open and tie that to the head for headaches, and use in a poultice for sore legs or open wounds even. And snowberry, which we call snowberry, which I think is called Davis root in Montserrat. So we don't have any locally known uses for this vine, even though it's pretty commonplace. So I found that very interesting because, again, this is a plant that around other places in the Caribbean is used. Worry vine or vervain, which you call blue vervain. This is another well-known plant around the Caribbean. And my understanding of the name worry vine is that it has been used to treat nervousness, to calm stress, but also to alleviate some symptoms of colds and coughs, and also used in childbirth. And this was similar to the use in Montserrat, where the leaves were used to treat jaundice. And it's noted in our records that it was used to treat jaundice as well. Aloe vera, another very, very potent medicine and well known to everybody. People who might not know the plant, you can pick up aloe drinks in the store, right? And this one I thought was quite interesting because it says that locally in Montserrat, there's a name that is Sintibibi or Sintibibi.
Yeah.
And in Cayman, there is a common name that is Cinco Bible. So I can see that being something that might have the same linguistic roots somewhere along the way. And again, similar uses between Montserrat and Cayman, used to treat cuts and burns, used to treat inflammation. It was particularly noted as being used as a laxative in Cayman, which I thought was interesting, but also just a tonic for nerves. It helps the blood, it helps the lungs, it helps diabetes. This is one of those plants where it seems like, you know, if nothing is working, you can throw aloe vera at it. What we call leaf of life, you also call leaf of life, and this was used to treat coughs, colds, sore throat, sores, boils, and it was interesting because quite a lot of our records indicate mixing it with salt. And I'm not sure if that's something that also happens in Montserrat, but the leaves are particularly prized for either squeezing out the juice or chewing with salt. Periwinkle, which is called, Madagascar periwinkle. We call it periwinkle, sometimes also burying ground flower, because it was planted at cemeteries. And this was used particularly to treat things like high blood pressure, slow the growth of tumors. And cough. And actually, the periwinkle flower has been used by our local cancer society in their logo because it actually is now, I think, a treatment from leukemia has been developed out of this plant. Tom thistle, which I think is called milk thistle in Montserrat. This was interesting to me because in Montserrat, the booklet noted that the sap was used on skin rashes like eczema and ringworm. And actually the only use that I know of in Cayman was for removing warts. We have a completely different plant that has been noted for treating ringworm. So that's interesting. And this plant also, I only know of one place where I can find it. I'm sure it's not the only place it grows, but it's the only place I know where to find it. And every time they mow them down within a few weeks, they've popped right back up. Birch. This was another, this tree is everywhere in Cayman, and it is noted in the booklet as being called gumbark tree. In Cayman, I think most people know it as birch. Some people call it red birch, but we don't have any other type of birch. So to me, it's always been birch. And the farmers would use this to make living fence posts because you can cut a branch, stick it in the ground, and it will grow. And the bark was used in baths to treat insect bites, sunburn, rashes, even measles, and then used in a tea for cleansing kidneys. And you could also chew the leaves and apply them to cuts as a temporary bandage if you were out at your provision grounds in the bush and didn't have anything to keep the wound clean until you got home. Another thing that I don't know if Montserrat has that we have on one of our islands is a tree called poison tree. And what I have heard is that birch is the antidote to poison tree and that they grow together, which is, you know, I've never had occasion, thankfully, to test that antidote, and I kind of hope I don't have to. And that is the end of my presentation. I'm going to stop sharing if that's okay, and then leave time. I hope I left enough time for some questions.
Can you turn on your video, Hannah? Thank you very much for your presentation. Can you just share your video so those in the room can put a live face to the voice? Great. Thank you very much, Hannah. Do we have any? Anyone have any questions coming out from Hannah's presentation? Did anything jump out from her presentation? So, yes.
Thank you for your presentation, Hannah. Could you tell us a little bit more about the poison tree? Because I'm wondering if it's manchineel. Does it have berries?
So it's actually not. We do also have manchineel, but I'm just gonna Google quickly because off the top of my head, I can't remember the name of the scientific name of poison tree. The interesting thing is that it only, as far as I know, it only grows on our smallest island. And it almost looks like birch, to be honest. The bark is different, but the leaves and the berries actually look very similar. Apologies for not having the scientific name right at my fingertips. I know I have a photo of it and its scientific name on my phone. But it's interesting because it can be confusing to people when they come to the smallest of our islands, Little Cayman, and see these trees, very beautiful trees that look very similar to birch. The scientific name is Metopium toxiferum, which kind of says the species name says it.
Thank you for that. My final intervention. I noticed that a lot of the names used in Jamaica, you're using in Caymans. You think it has to do with the proximity? Tuna for prickly pear, cerasee for pumcoolie, and so on.
Yeah, I definitely think it does. And also, Cayman and Jamaica are very politically linked as well. So before Jamaica went independent, Cayman was a territory under Jamaica. Jamaica went independent, Cayman chose to stay as an overseas territory. So we've been quite linked for a long time politically by proximity. And because Cayman was so underdeveloped for such a long time, for many, many decades, that was your main way of finding work or making some kind of living to bring back to Cayman was to go somewhere else. And a lot of people ended up in Jamaica, even in my own family. You know, my great-grandfather built ships and he had a shipyard in Jamaica. So definitely there's some strong ties there.
Anybody else would like to ask a question? Yes?
Actually like the birch. Actually looks like the birch. Does the thing that grow after it, does it have a yellow fruit?
Yeah, they are kind of yellow. I'll see if I
Because
can.
why I ask you so? Because he have a kind of birch that we used to use, and I see another tree in St. Peter's. It be a yellow. It looks like a birch, but it be a yellow. The seeds are yellow, and it's bitter.
I think that could be it. I'm gonna try and pull up a photo that I have of the berries so you can see, because to me, they are more yellow than the birch berries. So it could be that. And I think the main thing with that tree is that it can give you I think a rash similar to, we have a plant called maiden plum, which I don't know if you have there, and that is kind of like our version of poison ivy. And if you brush on that or get the sap on you, it's just very, very itchy. Okay, let me pull this. Let me share this screen so I can share a picture of the poison wood with you. So this is it. This is it here. And I don't know if that's the one you're thinking of.
The leaves look like it. Like the kind that I see in St. Peter's. But the seeds are yellow and it's bitter. But the birch where we used to use in St. Patrick's, that give you energy.
Okay, do we have any further questions? Yes, there's one.
Sorry, Hannah, this is not on topic, but Cayman as opposed to Cayman. I've always pronounced that as Cayman with the accent on the first syllable, and you pronounce it Cayman. Is that how everybody else in Cayman pronounces it?
I think it kind of varies. I am not representative of a Caymanian accent, I have to be honest. Yeah. From going to school overseas, I'm very much sort of mid-Atlantic, I get told. Yeah. But some people say Cayman. What we definitely don't say is Cayman. We definitely don't say it like that. Yeah. But Cayman is. I think you're doing it the correct way. As long as you don't say Cayman, then you're good. And we never say the Caymans.
Now we know.
Anybody else? So that's it. We need to move on to the next, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you very much, Hannah, for sharing. Our next presenter, or more or less Sister Tease, as she's better known, is Shante Owens. And Shante is, as you've learned a little bit about her, she has her own company that produces herbal teas, formerly located at Triangle Town Center Mall. Those of you who know North Carolina, she's based in North Carolina, but her businesses are all available, or more or less is on the e-commerce platform. She focuses on crafting loose leaf tea blends for the purposes of relaxation, satisfaction, and sophistication. And her sister teas offer blends of green, oolong, black, and herbal teas. So here in Montserrat, we normally talk about bush tea, but sister teas have classified them in the groups of you having a black tea or herbal tea, and different ways in which we can look at how we're packaging teas. So she's here to answer questions in relation to how you can take your product or take your teas to the next level and making it available practically to the whole world through e-commerce. So Shante, could you just introduce yourself to the audience here in Montserrat?
Hi, my name is Shante Owens, and first and foremost, I just want to say congratulations to the island of Montserrat. Such a big accomplishment to have this herbal medicinal booklet. I believe that it will be such a great resource for the people of Montserrat. So just a little bit about myself. I am Shante Owens. I am born to a Jamaican father and a menstruation mother. I was laughing behind the scenes because Hannah mentioned that you guys don't pronounce it Caymans, and here in the Americas, we call it, or in the United States, we call it the Caymans. So I am sorry. I will try to pronounce it Cayman. I'm really not good with the accent. If you can hear my accent, you probably hear from New York. I was born and raised in, I was born in the Bronx and I was raised in New York. A lot of, I would have to say, Caribbeans do reside in New York. So it is nice because it's like a little melting pot for us. Yeah, that's a little bit about myself.
Thank you, Shante, and we are called Monstrations.
Yes, Monstrations. So we call it menstruation, and we're like, we don't know how to pronounce it, but we're trying our best.
Okay, so I'll start the questions going, and the audience is free to ask Shante any questions that you may have. And I want to find out what inspired you to get into providing herbal teas on the e-commerce platform.
That is such a great question. So to start, my heritage, along with, I feel like everybody in the Caribbean, they believe that tea cures everything. So the fact that my parents are from the Caribbean, anytime we got sick, anytime we got a headache, I even joke and I say, if you have a broken bone, your parents will say, go drink some tea and go lay down. So every moment of the day, our heritage or drink tea and we will lay down, right? So I remember having to work for Teavana. There's this big store called Teavana out here in the United States. I'm not sure if they're international, but I know that they were across the United States, and I took up a job with them in 2013, and I didn't realize that tea goes past just your regular bag tea. Surprisingly, I would see them steep the tea, and they had like the full herbs and tea leaves, and it caught me by surprise because I didn't know tea could taste so good, right? We will drink Lipton tea, we'll do Lipton tea with a little milk or whatever, but the fact that Teavana introduced me to like just an array of different flavors really brought the passion for tea with me. So Teavana ended up closing in 2018. They started phasing out their stores because what happened was Starbucks had bought them back in 2010. And I guess they claim that it was low performance, so they decided to close out the Teavana stores. And back in 2018, I started to walk with Jesus. I decided, hey, I know that I'm not supposed to work 9 to 5. I know that I'm called to be an entrepreneur. Life is lifing right now. And the Lord had revealed himself to me. So with that, I remember sitting there wondering, like, what would be the business that I will launch? And it's like it just dropped out of the sky. And it was like how I would be doing a loose leaf tea company. And at the time, there was not much, I would say, there was not much people out there doing it at the time. So it was really hard for me to really get the gist of what a tea company would look like. So I found myself really staying close to the Lord in this period to figure out how is this tea company supposed to look like. So this is what kind of grew the passion for the tea company. Of course, I had to start online on the e-commerce platform first because that was the best way for me to start up, the most efficient and cost-friendly way to start up. We had like literally no money to start it, but we decided, between me and my husband, we decided let's just start it and let's get it going. So that's what was it.
All right, fantastic. So we all can learn from your experience, Shante. Does anyone have any questions as yet for Shante? Okay, I'm seeing hands shooting up to the back.
Thank you, Shanti. Very interesting. Could you tell us a bit more about the packaging? Because very often people returning Montserratians, and when they're heading back to the metropole, they take leaves with them. And I've always been interested in a way to package these things so that the U.S. Customs doesn't really come down heavy on us.
Right. So with packaging, first and foremost, you're going to want to think about a packaging that is not clear, that's not going to be exposed to the sunlight, and try to take as much air out of the packaging as possible because you want your herbs to stay fresh, right? So when we started Sister Teas, we started with a bag. I can actually grab and show you an example of what we started with. Give me 1 second because I want you to see. 1 second. Thank you, y'all. So we started with a heat sealable bag, and at the time, this was when I was like fresh and new into the business, and I was really learning what would best benefit us as cost efficient, as well as to come across you, because you want to also consider your branding with packaging. This is what we started with. I don't recommend this because it is clear, and if the sunlight hits it, your tea will continue to dry and phase, or the herbs will continue to dry and phase, and you will notice that the taste quality will like kind of dwindle. So when we did our first rebranding of the business, we moved to this type of packaging, which is just a regular 8-ounce straight edge jar. We love it. Really nice. You could hold the tea in there. Loved it at first, but we decided that it's not sustainable because it's really hard to be portable, and it's really hard to kind of keep it evident tampered with, right? So we moved on, for our recent rebranding, we moved on to the black heat sealable bag. So you're gonna need something to seal it. It may be one of these heat sealers, or you could use like a flat iron or an iron. Depends on what you want. What I like to do is I'll put the herbs in here and I'll kind of press the air out, seal it, and then seal this part. Okay. Let me know if that answered your question. If you want me to clarify a little more, I'm sure I can.
Just a quick question. Thank you. How many varieties of teas do you actually have right now?
So right now we have varieties. We're gonna be launching 4 more flavors by Friday. So that makes 20 different varieties of teas. We have anywhere between a green tea, a oolong, black, herbals, rooibos. Rooibos is from South Africa. We have tea. We have a tea with soursop. We have all varieties. So I noticed that when you do mix and blend the teas, we don't do anything strong, right? Because we want to be careful with people's bodies, right? We're not doctors, we don't claim to be. So we want people to realize like you can have benefits of tea, but also we want you to taste a nice tasting tea. We want you to really enjoy this tea. So we have, like I said, 16 going on 20.
Good, thank you.
You're
just one more question. Where do you actually source the raw materials?
Yes, so we have a distro there in California, and they source the tea around the world from different tea farms from around the world. We're looking to try to be a little local or even partner with people from Montserrat. We're with whatever to bring more longevity to our business. But right now we source our teas through California.
Shantae, what is the difference between loose leaf tea and tea bag?
Yes, sure. So loose leaf tea is the full tea leaf. It's both flavorful. With the tea bag, the best way they describe it is the tea bag is like crushed down and it's dust and fan. So when you're doing a tea bag, you'll notice even the price difference between the loose leaf and the tea bag, right? So the tea bag crushed down, you won't get as much benefits when the tea is crushed down like that. And they pack it in a bag. With the loose leaf tea, you can have a tea filter bag, but it's if you steep it in something that will allow the tea leaves to expand. And also loose leaf tea, you can be steeped often. Like I say confidently twice, but some people, they steep their tea leaves 3 times, 4 times. I know some people that steep their tea leaves maybe about 6 times. So.
Any more questions? Anybody else? Do another question, Donna?
You mentioned earlier about the strength of the teas. I had a question about the dosage in your packages. How do you advise persons who are purchasing your teas what portions to take based on your packages?
So generally, tea in general, you're gonna want to do 1 to 2 teaspoons, right? There are people who are like claimed herbalists. It's not like you don't have to have a degree to be an herbalist out here, right? But there are people that claim to be herbalists that say maybe you might want to do more of a dosage or you might want to do less, but safely for sister teas, we decide to tell people to do 1 to 2 teaspoons. This is exactly why we're not digging into like really, really deep root teas or even making medical claims of this will solve this or this will solve that, because now we're dealing with becoming like herbal doctors, and that's not our job. We want people to have relaxation, sophistication, and satisfaction when they drink our tea. But we recommend 1 to 2 teaspoons per cup. Also, you want to keep in mind if the tea has caffeine content or not, because if you exceed over 400 milligrams of caffeine, you're in like a danger zone, right? So we tell people drink your tea in moderation, maybe 2 to 3 cups a day if you want, right? Some people maybe go to 4 cups. It's all depending on them, but safe to say the tea is safe because it is a herb. You just want to drink your tea in moderation.
Okay, thank you. I have one question for you. Your teas say sister teas. Is it that it's just sisters who can drink that tea? Because for discussion, some of our medicinal plants in our booklet, there are lots of aphrodisiacs and stuff that are specific for men. So I just wanted to know whether they're just for sisters.
No.
Where did the men fit in?
So sister teas is because my sister, I have older sisters who also drink tea. And at first, when I received the name to call it sister teas, I thought it was going to be just catered towards like Black women. But I realized how rich the tea culture is. I love this question. I realized how rich the tea culture is. And I remember my husband mentioned to me, he's like, men tea tea too. And I'm like, okay. I didn't know it was a big thing, and men love tea. So it's so beautiful because the name kind of made itself, right? So we're able to take this concept of sister teas, right? Invite all different peoples from all different culture. You would be surprised when we had our storefront out in the mall. It was all different types of people coming into the store asking, oh, do you have this? Do you have that? And they get to explore what we decide is our culture. We get to hand them, hey, this is my parents, they think tea cures everything, and I want to share this cup of hospitality with you. So no, it's not it's not only for sisters. It's amazing how beautiful the brand is growing, and people could connect with it and connect with what we had in our childhood. So thank you for asking that question.
Shantae, a question about making the move online. Obviously, when you're face to face, you can experience the tea, you can taste it, and things like that. How have you managed to control the customer experience online so they still get a feel for the flavors from the tea without actually being able to smell it or taste it?
Right. So I want to back a little bit. Most of our customer base that is online now were our avid customers when we were in the store. So they already taste the tea. They already have this confidence that what we put out tastes really good. So word of mouth travels. And now people who are new to trying the tea, they're confident in knowing that the tea is going to taste good because their friends, family, or their sister, brother, whoever tried the tea. We try to experience. How do I say this? So the in-store experience, we try to replicate it online through our customer service. We try to be available to our people. So if they're calling the phone, we'll pick up right away. Hey, Sister Teas, how may I help you? Right? Or we have a chat box on our website with people asking, hey, how does this flavor taste? We'll try to describe it in the best way that we can. Also, new packaging, because like I said, we rebranded. We have taste notes. So we'll let you know if it's a little more earthy with citrus notes, or if it's a little more full-bodied with woodsy notes. So it depends. But all in all, the tea tastes good. The tea tastes good, and I believe having the store first really built our confidence in the way we sell now, because with people coming in and giving their testimony and saying, oh my goodness, I tried this tea at the sample cart, that is delicious. So it's now like, okay, well, this may be a cup of tea, or maybe that might be a cup of tea. Describe to me what flavors you want, and we'll try to let the people know that's online. Well, if you like this type of flavor, we recommend this tea. So
okay, just two more questions. I don't know if we have from the, okay, I'll give someone. We have two in the crowd, one right up front.
Hello, I just wanted to know whether you have a box that you can show us so we go online, we'll recognize it. Do you have a box?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that one more time? It sounds a little low.
Do you have a box of the tea in front of that you can show us?
I don't have a box, but I'll show you the tea, and I can also show you it in the loose leaf.
So we can recognize it. Yeah.
Yes, sure. I can show you, and I would love to also share my screen and show you the website too. So give me 1 second, okay?
I'm gonna get you a handout.
Thank you, y'all. I probably should have been a little better prepared. So just to show y'all how the loose leaf tea looks. Okay. Just gonna open this real quick. This is how the loose leaf tea looks. Right here we have lemongrass, oranges, rosehip, hibiscus, and I did say rosehip, right? And mint, peppermint. And this one is our most popular tea. This is the new packaging. Try to bring it up a little bit. As you can see, it has the steeping instructions, right? What we do is we get our labels from China, right? Because the labeling in China is a lot more cost efficient than getting labels from the United States. And then we get our packaging from this website called Uline. I'm not sure if they ship to Montserrat, but they have really affordable packaging there. And then, sorry, give me 1 second, y'all. I'm mom too, y'all. So, yes, so we have a website, like I was saying, and I'm gonna share that with you real quick, okay? Let's see. You gotta be quiet, mama. All right. Let's see. I can't even. Okay. All right, so this is our website, and what we try to do is show people how the tea can better your life, because it's all about branding, and this is what people will invest in. They will invest in the brand experience, right? So we have our tea. We try to also show them how it would look if you steep it, right? To entice the taste buds. We also show you how the loose leaf tea looks, right? So that way it kind of like comes across on the website, because in the physical store, it's easier to sell in the physical store than the website, but it's better if you try to like entice people's senses, right? So the taste, the sight, sometimes even pour in a cup, right? To get the hearing, and really try to get people in on why they should buy the tea. Why should they buy $20 2 ounces of tea for $20 versus the tea bag in the store? You know, so that's what I wanted to share. And I'm gonna also stop sharing my screen now. If I can see how. Give me 1 moment, y'all. Bear with me. I can't even see. I can't see, y'all. Oh, there we go. No, that's not it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how I hid my panel. My apologies.
Greetings. I can still talk if you're comfortable.
No, that's fine.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm still trying to just find how I hid the panel.
Shantae, just go back to the Zoom.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
Isn't that?
Stop share. There we go. Thank you, y'all.
Your website looks fantastic, by the way.
Thank you
Very
so much.
inspired by your story.
Oh, thank you.
I'm not sure if this is the right question, because I've realized your tea is mainly for relaxation and sophistication, and what was the other?
And satisfaction.
Satisfaction, yes. But for medicinal reasons and seasons, bush tea, how do you quantify it? That's the question I've always get stuck. I don't know if you are able to answer it, but if I'm suffering from diabetes or high blood pressure, or I'm trying to recover from cancer, how would you quantify what to take when taking bush tea?
Right.
Please.
So that right there would not be our expertise, right? Because we are just a solely e-commerce website. This is exactly why we try to tell people that our tea is for relaxation, for the taste, for whatnot, and it may help with medicinal benefits, right? So in the United States, we can't make any claims of this tea will heal this or this will do that. although there are people out there that do so, but those are like really thin lines. Like even then, if we say that our tea helps with hypertension, which is true for our blue moon tea because it has soursop leaf, which helps with high blood pressure, we can't say that it will solve your high blood pressure problems, right? We just have to say, hey, it may help with this, it may help with that. So we, by law, we cannot give anybody a dosage or say this is going to help this or this is going to help that.
Okay, thank you very much, Shante, and thank you for all of your questions. Hannah has a question.
Well, a question and a comment. My comment was just about that question about dosage, because I feel like that comes up a lot with bush medicine. And I think it's one of these things where we're kind of used nowadays to getting a dosage of something, of getting a dosage of medicine, knowing that you take 400 milligrams of this and, you know, twice a day, and that's going to help. I think from my experience, at least, this is where getting in touch with the plants themselves, you know, tasting the teas, and then being able to figure out by listening to your own body and getting to know the plants. Okay, is two teaspoons of blue moon tea perfect to put me in that nice relaxed mood, or is it 3? Or is it less? Is it actually, you know, because that blue moon tea, Shante, it looks like it's got that bluebell flower, that butterfly pea flower in it as well to give it that gorgeous blue color. And that's also, correct. Yeah, I mean, that's a great plant for, it's a nootropic. It's used in Ayurvedic medicine for relaxation. So it's that's also great medicine. And I think sometimes we want these precise answers when it comes to our herbal medicine, but the reality is that very rarely when you look back at how things were used, do you get these sort of accurate, these very detailed instructions on you use X many leaves, or you do this, or you do that. It's a lot about knowing the plant and knowing yourself, if that makes sense. But my question for Shante was, do you ship internationally?
Okay, so first I want to also piggyback off of that. I like to explain to people, especially out here in the United States, because we have a really high inflammatory diet out here. And I like to tell people, in order to allow these herbs to work, is you have to really look about the diet too, because these teas and these herbs, they can help assist, right? As long as you're feeding yourself the right food medicine. So it's a way to help assist in the long run. As far as shipping internationally, right now we are shipping in Canada. However, we are willing to open it up to an international shipping as long as we get the clientele that we need for international. It's as easy as a click of a button, to be honest. So at the moment, not really, but I'm sure we will open it up internationally soon.
Okay, thank you very much, Shante. We are going to move on to our discussion in the room, and we have two of our elders and one of our guides from the Montserrat National Trust who are open to questions now in relation to the 15 medicinal plants highlighted here in the handbook. But before I have our elders come forward, Miss Eleanor Lindsay, Miss Eleanor Silcott, and we have Mapai, Philemon Moraine, that's his correct name. We just want to let you know that the focus of these 50 medicinal plants was to capture our cultural heritage, how these plants were used over time from way back when, and how we use the plants to treat various illnesses that we may have. This does not replace anything by law. It does not prescribe how you should use these books. This is capturing the knowledge of our elders. And as mentioned before, some of the plants could be toxic. They might induce side effects or might have interactions with certain drugs. So if you're intending to use them, please make sure that you consult with your physicians. We know in Montserrat that our disease burden is with diabetes and hypertension. Many of these bushes we know have been used to treat that. But if you're taking medication along with these bushes, it can affect you. So please make sure you consult with your doctors before moving ahead on using some of these bushes, especially if you're already taking medicines. We invite Miss Eleanor Silka to come forward, and Miss Eleanor, to come forward. And we apologize for the overrun. We are stretched back a bit, given our start and your interaction in wanting to know a lot more from our guests. So we first want to thank our interviewees for sharing their knowledge with us about these medicinal plants in the book. This is just 3 of those who have been part of this project. And the floor is open, so I don't know if you had a chance to look at the booklet, if there's anything in it that jumps out at you, or something that you're curious about, you yourself may have used some or heard about them. Now is your chance to ask of our elders what it is that you would like to know in relation to these teas.
Which, no, we're asking you. So let me ask you a question. Which one of the 15 teas can you drink every day? As an everyday tea? The leaf of life? The leaf of life, why is that? The mic.
It do anything at all for your body.
Anything good or bad? So what kind of...
You can use the seed. You can use the seed, or you can use the bush and dry it, and you can sprinkle it on your egg also.
On your egg? Okay, interesting. Any questions from the audience?
Thank you. Well, I learned something about the periwinkle plant. I thought it was just an ornamental. I never knew that one could drink it. However, I just want to know with regard to that plant, if it's just the bush, or you can take both the bush and the leaves, and the plant, and the flower.
You can use both. The seed, right? It can keep down your pressure.
Okay.
And while you're doing your egg, you have it fine, and you sprinkle it on it, and help even for castrate and so.
Oh. Okay. Thank you.
Someone else asking a question?
Yes, good evening. The milk thistle, I've seen it in my garden all the time, but I have no idea what it is. Yes, so my question is, what is it good for? What is it used for?
I could answer that question. It's very good for eczema between your toe.
Okay, thank you.
You break it and drop it between your toe, and it kill the eczema between your toe.
All right, so Miss Lindsay was talking about the milk thistle. The yellow flowers are actually used for curing asthma in people who are asthmatic. The sap actually cures ringworms, and it regulates so many different things in your body. I'm not going to go into all of the details, but you could actually look it up and you'll find the answers. and it was actually founded in the Roaches area. That's where I went and got this plant so it could be displayed. And not only that, the leaves are also used to combat, like people who are suffering from, some people say they have bacteria, loss of energy. And there is one that most of us are suffering from, cholesterol. It actually eliminates that from your system.
Can I ask about the Lord Lavington? Is that the buzz? Yeah, but this look like buzz.
There's a better picture on the wall outside. Yeah, the picture has the flower.
Below Barrington, you can make it in tea. If you have a bad cold, it helps you. You can boil it with maybe 3 different leaves and have a bath because it helps give you perspirate. When you perspire, you know, sometimes you want to perspire and you can't get to perspire. And plenty, listen, I don't people like, plenty people do not know that every first Friday or every last Friday or Wednesday, the older people used to go around and pick up at least 7 or 9 different bushes. And they boil it, as Mr. Connor was telling you. And they put, that time we didn't have bath like what they have now. So we have one bath pan and one basin. All the old people know what we're talking about, basin? Yes. Okay. And they put it there and they put you in a it and they sap your skin, they take them and like you pain in your knee. Oh dear Jesus. Sisters, we have a lot of things here that we have one they call no mommy, be upon the lubali tree and the kidney fire tree. All that kind of a bush there. When I was a child following my grandmother from the mountain. And we coming from the mountain. It's no mommy, it's bamboo. Oh, they can hear.
Yeah, we could hear her.
We can hear. They're not hearing?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, so? And we have a lot of things that we can use. Sister, when my grandmother come from mountain, you hearing me? Yes. We have this pot we used to call 3-foot pot. You remember that, Nancy? And they put those bush in the pot and they boil it. And every child and every grandchild get a cup full. But these days, we are not giving our children these things because they are, when they ask me, but Miss Elena, how are you? Oh, you're not a doctor. Doctor tell me use it 3 times a day. If me tell you use 3 bush, get 3 salsa bush and hat. You don't get the message there? Well, you coming from the old time, now ask me, because you know sometimes you couldn't ask the old people. But it's an odd number. In every bush you got to use odd numbers. Anybody else here know that? Okay. Well, many of the times we want to ask the old people, but them used to not answer it. The cinnamon? Okay.
Shall I ask? I just really wanted to know what's the best way to make tea, draw tea, or, I mean, sometimes I get a pot and I cut up the bush and I put cold water and boil it on the stove, or sometimes I boil the kettle and pour it on top and then cover it. Which is the best way?
That's the best way. Some people boil it, some people just throw in the hot water
Yeah.
and cover it down and let it steam. But when you can't, as you use that one day, so you go now and you put it on and let it boil again because you want the essence of it.
Right, okay, thank you.
Okay? It's just like you have the fever grass and you put fever grass in the pot. You maybe dry it, but when you done, as the lady said here, you can't just boil the fever grass one time. You try it one time. So when you use up that, you throw some on it and put it on and let it boil. Boil up again. You believe me?
Anybody else? Hmm? It's a question for somebody else?
Okay, so the question is, or should I say, I noticed that in the book, you have more artwork as opposed to those beautiful pictures that you have on the wall, which is, huh? The one that I have is there. Okay, no, this is what I have. You see the real picture? Part of my question is, this is your first version, and I'm wondering for the next version if bay leaf is going to be in it. Why? As you notice, I brought a piece of bay leaf here. I was saying bay leaf, and a friend of mine was saying it's cinnamon. So hence come the debate on Facebook that says it's half was saying it's bay leaf, and the other half was saying it's cinnamon. So I thought, and I mentioned that I would be coming here tonight and ask the question, what monstration calls it? The other cinnamon? Mapai told me it's bay leaf. And so I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, it's two kind. It's two kind, right? But anyone, if you have pain right now, for go and have your baby, you could walk the distance or carry it away, and you pick some of the leaf, and you come and you boil it and you drink it. And it helps you to have the child. And you can use it every day. Every morning you could use it. Every morning. You put it, and you could also put it in your porridge and things like that.
So,
it's the cinnamon we really use, because I remember as a child, I used to run when my auntie didn't have pain. It's two things they do. They either get a Dutch grass and put it and give them food thing, because that help the pain, or the cinnamon. Someone, why am I laugh?
This leaf here.
That is the cinnamon.
Mapai?
Some people call it, when me be a child, eyes, make me call it child. But you couldn't understand. You know you're not a child. Miss, is that when we were children, that is what our parents and grandparents teach us as cinnamon. The real belief, they have it up at Richmond Hill. Okay? But that is cinnamon. That is what we put in our porridge all the time.
Okay, so the debate continues as to whether it's bay leaf or cinnamon. That's why I want to clarify. I'm mentioning, what we call it Montserrat.
They tend to call bay leaf cinnamon here, but what we really have mostly is bay leaf. The cinnamon that they have here, which is very limited, they call it spice. And actual cinnamon is the bark you use, right? So you're asking what they call it here. They call it cinnamon, but it's not cinnamon. Bay leaf is the correct thing, right? That is bay leaf. And you can look, besides using the bark, if you look at the leaf of a cinnamon tree, it has 3 veins, one coming up the middle, one to the left, and one to the right. Right? There are very few cinnamon trees here. It is bay leaf.
Okay. The reason I'm asking, okay, because Canada allows us to bring dry leaves. I take a lot of this back to Canada, and my colleagues, my nursing colleagues, just loves it. Before, here, I know we put it in porridge, whether it's corn porridge or any kind of porridge. In Canada, there are many dishes, especially stews, the Filipino adobo dishes. So, while we were debating this, because they love it, and I take bags of it and share it to my colleagues. So here was my suggestion was it yesterday? Since we're debating this, since this is so plentiful on island, why are we not, somebody with an entrepreneurial mind, pick it up and do something about it, because it's much better than what we get in Canada. And that's my question I'm asking, and I throw that out.
Thank you. Just to say that there are different, yes, there are different species of bay leaf. In Dominica, you probably have about 2 or 3 different species of bay leaf. Bay oil is very popular in Dominica. Bay rum. We used to manufacture bay oil and bay rum on Montserrat. I grew up using bay rum when we have fever, and so they stop us down according to them. So, as the young lady next to me said, and the reason why we put on this exercise is to resurrect the ambition of using these herbs not only for medicinal purposes, but also as a means of industry, livelihood, which we demonstrated outside on the veranda, a number of people who are doing that. And we want to encourage, because just as Sister Teas can market her teas, we can market products that we make from the various plants that we have around us that are going to waste. So thank you.
This is my last point. My concern is, among many, is if we're not going to do something about this, somebody else might come in, offer pennies per pound, the same way they came in and was trying to get the castor oil, the castor seed to make the castor oil. So we have to look around our resources, our natural resources, and encourage the higher-ups and the people up there, to try and market our products.
Okay, so we thank you very much for your participation. We have gone over our discussion period. We thank our interviewees, Miss Eleanor, and Miss Eleanor, Miss Eleanor Silkert, Miss Eleanor Lindsay, Ellen Lindsay, and Mapai for fielding your questions. This is only the start. We ask you to continue to support the work of the Montserrat National Trust and what we're doing in building on our cultural heritage, getting our young people to know about our heritage. And just as the lady up front asked about bay leaf and cinnamon bush, similarly in this booklet, they're names that we know them by in Montserrat, but they may be called different things, as you've seen with Cayman Island, in other countries. Then you have the scientific name for them. And the scientific names is what now differentiate the different species that we may have of that plant on Montserrat. So we are recording our cultural heritage. What did our forefathers and foremummies know about these bushes and why we're using them now and what we use them for? But again, I remind the disclaimer is at the back. Please don't go and drink them off and say that Montserrat National Trust tell you you can drink all of this because of what you're seeing there. This is for education purposes. Remember that if you're taking medication, seek advice. But this is what, before we knew about what was sold in the pharmacies, these were the bushes that were used and how they used it, okay? And which we continue to use. So we thank you very much for being with us. Miss Jane, you want to say one more thing? All right, so we're still using three of the leaves and 2 nutmegs. You can put some nutmeg money in the box outside there for Eco Play. And we'll continue to be in our heritage. So thank you so much for coming out. And for those who join us online and those who are listening to us on the live stream, we thank you for joining us here at the National Museum in Montserrat. The museum is open 3 days a week for now. But if you keep coming, we may extend the hours so you can enjoy the afternoons and the weekends to learn about your heritage here in Montserrat. Thank you very much for joining us. Good evening, all.